Hey guys. My dog did not like that harmonica solo. That was a free bonus for you guys. Okay, today's video, very excited about this. This is a very special episode, as always, when we're here all about the music. Today, I've just been listening to some different things in the car, commuting to work. But today's video is all about bands that were at one point my favorite band, but they lost it. And we're going to be talking about why they lost the #1 spot in my ranking of the greatest musicians of all time. This is going to be all rock and roll here. I do like a lot of different kinds of music, but this is my top tier bands that for whatever reason they just stopped satisfying me, or parts of their discography were just so bad that they lost that perfectness that they maybe once had, or something in their earlier career, just I couldn't get past it. So we're going to jump right in. Are you guys ready? Very exciting. These are bands that were my favorite and now they're not. First up, and I've got a script this time. So first up is Blink-182. I got into this band around the same time that I got into Green Day, 98, 99, after being introduced to that style of rock and roll. It took me a few years to realize that Green Day were doing it much, much better at a higher level than Blink-182. Vastly better. Blink-182 does have a great catalog, but clunkers like Neighborhoods after their reunion and their newest one, 9, have just really dragged them down tremendously in what is an otherwise almost perfect discography outside of those. Turmoil between Mark and Tom, and just other problems with the band have just sort of have really dragged down an otherwise pretty stellar career, in my opinion. I try to stay neutral, but I do not like Angels and Airwaves. I've given them a shot. I've listened to everything they've done, and I don't like it. I don't like what Tom's doing outside of Blink-182, aside from Boxcar Racer, which is pretty much done at this point. I would like to hear an album by them. Don't think that's going to happen, though. I dig a lot of what Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker do outside of Blink-182. But Tom has just kind of messed it up for everybody, in my opinion. Congratulations on discovering UFOs, but we already knew that there was unidentified flying objects. But if you could identify them or identify who's flying them, that would be great. Then you can freak out and call me up, Tom, okay? So Blink-182 were at one point my favorite band, and now they sit at #9. They've dropped from #1 to #9 on my greatest artist of all time. Okay, moving on to the next band. Another huge rock name, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And this one is a little bit different, where a lot of these other groups, actually all the other groups on this list, had a decline. Like their later material just became pretty bad. The Red Hot Chili Peppers are kind of the opposite, where I discovered them. Now, I had heard Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was a child, but I got into them in the Californication era in '99, when I was just really immersing myself in the rock and roll world, so to speak. And when you discover these bands when you're a teenager in middle school and high school, you want to go back and get their, hey buddy, you want to go back and discover what they were doing before you knew about them, right? Well, that didn't go so well with me and the Chili Peppers. I bought all of their studio albums going back from Californication, and their first 4 albums, their 80s output, is horrendous. It's just garbage. The production's bad, the songwriting's bad. It's just Anthony Kiedis jumping around, being a crazy person, with maybe some music playing in the background. It's not good. They did hit their stride with Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but then they went back to the garbage on One Hot Minute. It's a little bit more listenable than some of their earlier stuff, but not good enough. Not good enough at all. Now, 99 to present Red Hot Chili Peppers, I love every song. The last 21 years, I've loved every album, every track by the Chili Peppers. The Getaway took me a minute. Kind of took me by surprise, but I enjoy the different guitarists. We're not even going to get into the whole John Frusciante and that whole thing with the different guitarists. But I've enjoyed everything from Californication all the way through The Getaway. Just a fantastic band. Once they figured out that they wanted to be a rock band and not some crazy acid jazz rap fusion performance art thing, they really hit their stride once they figured out they wanted to be a rock band. They're still top tier bands, right? So in short, skip all the Chili Peppers 80s stuff. Their 1995 One Hot Minute, and so they'll probably climb higher as they release more albums. They probably have an album coming out next year, I would imagine, but they're never going to topple Green Day. So Red Hot Chili Peppers have been bumped down from number 1 to number 35 on my all-time favorite musicians list. Okay, not a bad drop, right? It's more significant than Blink's drop. Moving on to sort of a guilty pleasure on my list, Kid Rock was at one point my favorite artist. I started hearing him when he blew up in '98 with the string of hits, Ba with the Ba, Only God Knows Why. Devil Without a Cause was just fantastic. Sorry, my dog's doing some crazy stuff in there. So his Red, White, and Blue trilogy was amazing. Devil Without a Cause, A History of Rock, and Cocky. And he played all his instruments. He wrote all these killer tunes. He played in all these different genres. And now he's started just making country album after country album after country album. And he's started to get even more tacky and just kind of gross. And so he's always been kind of a guilty pleasure. I've never had anyone agree with me that Kid Rock was like the number 1 artist of all time, even though I felt that way back in the late 90s. And I still like most of his discography, aside from Rebel Soul. I think it was 2011. But that album and his techie persona have really led me away in recent years. Now, Kid Rock, he lost the number 1 spot. He's sitting at number 14 due to a pretty solid back catalog. Okay, I would say skip Rebel Soul and give all his other albums a listen. His earlier his rap albums in the 90s were some of the best hip hop out at the time. So check that stuff out. Check out his more popular material, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of creativity. Moving on to the next one is Barenaked Ladies. Absolutely, they were my favorite band for a very long time. Discovered them like most people with 1 week. Went through their back catalog. Their first 5 albums are masterpieces. They're masterworks in alternative rock of the 90s. Absolutely golden age stuff. Perfect and unique. Some strong songwriting with, like so many of these groups, actually all of these groups have something in common. I like bands where different people sing lead. Even Kid Rock as a solo artist, his drummer has sang lead on some songs, at least on Devil Without a Cause. He's had some other featured artists. Blink-182 have 2 lead vocalists. Chili Peppers have had different members sing. Kid Rock. Barenaked Ladies, all 5 of the guys have traded vocals. But where did Barenaked Ladies go wrong? Okay, if you haven't heard a lot of the Barenaked Ladies, if you've only heard the kind of goofy singles and you don't like that, listen to some of their albums in full, like from 92 to 2003. Just amazing alternative rock and roll output. They released a Christmas album in 2004 that was abysmal, and they haven't been the same since. Everything after that's been kind of not that great, not really having fun listening to it. Everything to Everyone in 2003 kind of had some good moments and some bad moments. And then after that, Stephen Page left shortly after the Christmas album, I believe, and things just haven't been good with the Barenaked Ladies since, in my opinion. The compilations, the greatest hits, the other compilations have just been kind of cash grabs. They're doing a lot. They're very active, but they're doing like cruises, they're doing parties, they're doing weird, just all this weird stuff that just not interesting me anymore. So yeah, the Barenaked Ladies have yet to return to any kind of good form, in my opinion. Anything after 2003, not really digging it. And now I give it a chance. I always go out and buy the album and give it a listen, and they're just not doing it for me these days. The Barenaked Ladies have lost their #1 spot, and they've dropped to number 45 on my all-time greatest bands. Okay, still not bad, but that's pretty, lower than the others. So you got Blink going to 9, Red Hot Chili Peppers going to 35, Kid Rock going to 14, and Barenaked Ladies have dropped to 45. Okay, are you guys ready for the final band in my bands that have lost their #1 status with me? Is Everclear. They were, without a doubt, my first favorite rock group. Everclear were just emotional and powerful. Similar to the Barenaked Ladies, however, this band had a heyday from 93 to 2003. And something happened. I'm not sure. I've heard some negative things about it recently, but the bass player and the guitarist of Everclear suddenly, abruptly, out of nowhere, left the group, leaving Art Alakakis as the sole member of Everclear. Now, he said that's fine because he writes all the music, he writes all the lyrics, he's the creative man in charge. I don't know if that was true or not, because when Craig and Greg left the band, things just weren't the same after they left. For some reason, if he was the brains of everything turned to complete and utter trash when they left. I'm not sure if they just saw that he was not writing well anymore. But Art did pick up the pieces and developed a new lineup while putting out 2005's Welcome to the Drama Club, which is so forgettable, I forgot what's forgettable about it. It's just, I got rid of that CD. It's just not fun to listen to. Now, Art Alakakis did solidify a decent lineup in later years with a beautiful record in 2012's Invisible Stars. Perfect record. Absolutely perfect record. I felt like Everclear was back on the right path, but it was too late. They had already put out kind of a garbage record in 2005, and things just, weren't as special, and, they lost that #1 spot to Green Day. So, so 2012, they kind of had a massive jump up in quality, but in 2015's Black is the New Black, they tried kind of an awkward heavy metal sound, that just nobody was asking for a heavy metal record from Everclear in 2015. Who wanted that? I was their biggest fan. I didn't want that, and it didn't really work. Okay, they were one of the '90s alternative bands, and I just did not want them making an album that sounded like Metallica, but not as good. So I don't know. Right now, Art, the lead singer, has a solo album out, which I did not enjoy at all. I wanted to. I was hoping maybe it would be something to listen to, but I didn't like his solo material one bit. So they still have a few good songs out there every now and then. So this band is not completely washed. Well, in terms of success, yeah. They haven't really had a hit song in 2001 or 2, right? So yeah, Everclear's kind of washed up, but they could still make a good record from time to time, despite their nosedive in quality and band members. They still are at a number 20 on my favorite artist list. So check out all their studio efforts except for Drama Club and Black is the New Black. Skip all their compilations as well. Still a pretty darn good band, coming in at number 20. So looking back at these past favorites, I'm so glad my tastes have changed and expanded. I really appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe. But we're going to talk a little bit about what caused Green Day to take the number 1 spot from these groups, other than these guys just declining. Blink-182 split up for a number of years. The Peppers weren't really doing anything between By the Way and Stadium. Kid Rock was straying further and further away from what made him stand out in the crowd of the music world. And Everclear and Barenaked Ladies, who were definitely at the top of my lists for a long time, had lineup changes that really pummeled their success for whatever reasons. Whether it be the songwriter or just maybe they just ran out of steam. These things with Green Day, and with these things, along with all this, things between Green Day and I were heating up. I discovered them in the Nimrod era, with Good Riddance being my introduction. I snatched up Warning, International Super Hits, Shenanigans, all just back to back to back, 2000 to 2002. Once American Idiot dropped, that was it. Game over. It really cemented their spot as my all-time favorite band. All other bands bow down before their power pop. From At the Library to Billy Joe Armstrong's No Fun Monday series, supporting us during COVID-19. All their music from 1986 to this week, with his cover of something England. I need to listen to that again. I know I'm going to love it. Really need to compile the No Fun Mondays into some kind of collection. But yeah, from 1986 to present, Green Day are the only rock band, only musician that's never let me down. There's a few really close calls with some other bands. Uncle Kracker really hasn't put out a terrible song yet. The Transplants have like one song that's not so good. System of a Down, same thing with they have like one song that I'm not crazy about. But System of a Down's basically broken up at this point. And Uncle Kracker's kind of not really doing much. He's kind of resting on his laurels. But yeah, these are the bands that were at one time my favorite. But I had to replace them with Green Day. So sorry, Blink, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kid Rock, Bare Naked Ladies, and Everclear, but Green Day are better than you. You guys please like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what kind of videos you guys want to watch so I can start making content that'll be better for you. So if you are one of my subscribers, I will make a video just for you. Okay? I don't care if I have 8 billion subscribers. You send me an idea for a video, I'll do it, and I'll try to do it well. Okay? You guys have a good whatever time you're watching this. Bye.